So I know the March for Life in Romania just happened. Give us the update on that. What happened? How many people came?
In 2011, there were like 3 cities that organized the March for Life, and then now there are over 2,500 localities where.
Welcome, Teodora, to Lifesavers, a pro-life global podcast. I'm really excited to have Teodora on today. She's the president of Students for Life Romania, and is going to be sharing about the March for Life that just took place there, and young people are rising up to save lives across our nation. Before we get started, Teodora, I'm just going to open us in a word of prayer. God, we thank you, Lord, for today, and we ask, God, that you would work here, that you would help our hearts to be people who are truly modern-day heroes, who are courageous, who are strong, who are like Esther, who are speaking up for what is right. And we cry out for Romania that you would rise up an army of lifesavers, God, to rescue those who have no one to speak up for them and who need your help and support and love. And I just ask that this would be, just so much love coming out from Romania for the moms and unexpected pregnancies, for those in need and those in crisis. We thank you, God. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, Teodora, for coming on. So tell me a bit about yourself. And as I said, you're the president of Students for Life Romania. I've known you for a few years now, which has been a big blessing getting to sit even with you in your house in Romania. And so I'm excited to invite you on. But tell me more about what really got you involved and when did you become involved in the pro-life movement?
Hi, Bethany, and thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It's an honor. I'm currently 23 years old, and I got involved in the pro-life movement, I think, when I was 19, consciously or unconsciously, because I think at 19 or 18, it was the first time I understood better what pro-life meant. Because when I first heard about abortion when I was, I think, 15 years old. I was at school, and that word just popped up from somewhere. I haven't heard about it before. And asked someone, what does it mean? I was in school, and they told me, and I was shocked. Like I was like, is that a thing? I couldn't believe that is a real thing that can happen in the world. I was quite small and probably naive and innocent. And then when I moved to Ireland the next year, so I'm from Romania, I moved to Ireland for 1 year with my family. And I caught exactly the period of the campaigns for the legalization of abortion on demand there in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland. And I remember we had a debate in the English class, and the teacher said, okay, we're going to do a debate, pro-life, pro-choice, and in the middle, the undecided. I was on the pro-life side. I can't remember what I said. I definitely said some things, but definitely that moment kind of made me understand that it's a big thing that I have to pay attention. And then I moved to England the next year, and then when I was there, I got in touch with like a more international spectrum of things, and I started listening to American commentators on different topics, and one of them was abortion. And I listened, and I actually got to like the topic, to like to talk about it, but I still was at that point where I said, yeah, I probably want to do something pro-life or discuss the pro-life topic, but I want to do something else as well. I mean, I don't want to do just pro-life. When I came back in the country, so that was after like 2 years. I've been 1 year in Ireland, 2 years in England, and then I came back. I finished high school there, outside of the country. I came back, and in Romania, I discovered the pro-life movement here, because I didn't know about the institutional side of the pro-life movement. I only knew about the views and the debate, and I think when I got in touch with some people here, key people, I started doing little things. And step by step, I realized that this is such a big issue and such an important issue. And we need people to get involved in it, that I just, at some point, I couldn't imagine my life without doing pro-life. It wasn't something like miraculous. It wasn't like something that was, some people have that like how can I say? It's like that moment when you like say, okay, I have to do this. It wasn't that for me. It was something that grew organically in me, that desire to get involved. And yeah, it was like, I think it was a couple of months until I got to realize that, yeah, I have to do this, and I can't imagine myself not doing this. And I think I've done that since I was like 19, 20 years old. I'm 23 now, so I've been involved like full-time for like 3-4 years in the pro-life movement. And then I took over Students for Life in Romania, Bucharest more specifically, because I coordinate activities here, and I've been the president for, I think, 2.5 years so far.
And I think it's so beautiful, your story, because you didn't really know that abortion even was happening, that it even existed, and someone told you that it did, and that started you, as you started to hear more about it once you moved to Ireland and England, to really start to realize this is important, and I need to know more about this, and I need to research more. And then that led you to eventually saying, okay, I have to do something about this, even if it wasn't like a sudden overnight situation. And I think that's really beautiful, because for most of us, that's how it started. It was a gradual process. And I think sometimes when we're having those conversations, we don't realize that just planting that seed, just having that conversation with a person, saying like, hey, did you know that abortion's happening in our country? What do you think? Do you think every person deserves help and support in an unexpected pregnancy? And every mom deserves another option than abortion. And just having those conversations can be so impactful, even if it doesn't seem like it's impactful in that moment. Maybe 5 years later, they'll become a pro-life leader like you. So, Teodora, I guess I'm also curious too. You said you're full-time in the pro-life movement for about 4 years now, but I also know that you're volunteering, right? And you're a student still. So by full-time, what does that mean? Like, what does a day in the life of Teodora look like?
I think I've sacrificed so many things for the pro-life movement. So yeah, I'm a student. I'm studying theology. I also study history and politics before, and it's just during my probably these years, I started to spend more and more every day on the pro-life topic.
Excuse me.
Searching things, trying to understand better the issue, and I think. So I don't think there's a day that I could say this is the standard way of how I do things every single day. You know, every single day is a challenge. Sometimes I don't go to college just to be able to prepare for or help me prepare for debates or I don't know, research on the topic or something urgent has to be done. It's like you can call me at 2 o'clock in the morning telling me, Teodora, we have to do this, and I'm up. I'm on my laptop and doing the work. So I don't have a problem with that. I am so determined and so motivated and so passionate about this topic that I'm willing to give it all. Obviously, I have to be careful about my health and everything and to do things God's way. But I'm all in. I'm really all in. And yeah, it happened before just to find out that someone has to go on to a debate, and I haven't been to college for 3, 4, 5 days just to be able to do all the research and to prepare the things and to have them ready for that person. So yeah, I'm all in. That's what I can say.
So what is it motivating you to really be all in? The sacrifices that you're describing are things that a lot of people your age would not make for honestly much of any cause, let alone even, sometimes for their homework, right? But you're doing this, and what's really motivating you to be that passionate and that sacrificial? Skip classes, skip sleep.
I think this is another way to ask probably, why are you pro-life? Why do you do this? What drives you fundamentally to do this? And I think the answer is that I think fundamentally what drives me to do this is the understanding that every human being is made in the image of God. And once you understand that, or at least you try to understand, because I cannot say that I'm the most profound person, that I feel it every day, but I go by conviction every day. And I decide this, I made this choice of doing this work because I know it's the right thing to do. Whether I feel tired or not, whether I feel like doing it or not, I know it's the right thing. I made this choice and I'm going forward. And I'm doing it because I understand that there's the value of each person is not determined by human things around us, things that are in this world. I think the value of each person is coming from the fact that it's created in the image of God. I believe every single life deserves love, deserves support, and I think this is what pro-life means. It's just the way I feel things, the way I understand things, and the way I'm trying to do things as good as possible for those around me.
I think how you describe that is so beautiful, that every single life deserves love and deserves support because they're made in God's image. God places them as valuable, and therefore they ought to be valuable, and that makes them valuable to us as human beings who see that they're just like us. They just look slightly different, right? They're slightly less developed, slightly younger. So I know the March for Life in Romania just happened. Give us the update on that. What happened? How many people came? What was the goal of it? All of that.
So in Romania, the way we organize the March for Life is probably a little different from other countries, or at least it was different since like probably for a couple of years, because I know now a couple of countries take this approach. But in Romania, when the March for Life at the national level developed, we didn't have this approach where we had a national March for Life and we bring people with buses in the capital or in one big city. We encourage people locally to develop their own marches for life. There isn't a big organizer for the whole country. No, each locality has its own organizers. And the reason why we did this is because this is how you can grow a pro-life community organically and more efficiently, and making it with its roots there. People from that community come to the march. You can have the March for Life in a village, and we have that. And you have like a couple of hundred people going there. This is wonderful because you create that pro-life community there. Many times when a woman gets into crisis pregnancy, she needs her closest community to offer her support.
Yes.
If that closest community cannot offer her support or pressures her to abort, many times she has difficulties to reach beyond that community and get help from the outside. Now, obviously that becomes easier and easier with technology, but still I think it's fundamental to understand that the closest people around you have to be the people to support you and have to be the people you can go to, because it's the easiest. When you found out you're pregnant, you probably go either to your parents or to your friends or to your partner. Those are probably the main three categories of people to which you go when you found out you're pregnant. If those people are not pro-life, if those people do not support you, you probably will, and you can't find support somewhere else, or someone else doesn't stumble upon you and says, well, look, there is an alternative, you can choose life for your baby. Many times the women will just go through with the abortion thinking that that's the solution which will solve her problems, which is obviously false, but that's what I think it's very important. That's why we organize March for Life locally, to build these pro-life communities locally and to encourage people to build things institutionally there. You wanted to say something?
I think that's so beautiful, because you're right. In that moment, a woman oftentimes feels like she is so alone, and she feels like abortion is her only option. As you said, if she doesn't have family or friends telling her partner saying, hey, I'm with you, we can do this, we can get through this, then she not only has the thought of like the future, what's that going to look like with a crying baby, but the moment that she's in right now. And I think it's one thing to realize that when you're pregnant, you oftentimes are much more emotional. There's something called pregnancy brain, so sometimes you are literally shuffling memories to make room for the baby, and you don't remember things very well. And you also, especially early in your pregnancy, tend to have morning sickness. So you feel nauseous a lot, right? So you feel physically sick, you're mentally a little bit off whack, right? Maybe you're more emotional than normal. And then, especially if you don't have that supportive future looking forward to you, I mean, you weren't expecting this, right? You had other goals and dreams in mind, and you don't have any of those family and friends saying, hey, I'm with you, we can get through this, it's fine. But you have them actually saying, hey, maybe this isn't the right time for you, maybe you go down the street and take care of it. Then it really feels like, okay, I've got to do that, because there's not really any other option for me in that moment. So has there been a girl that you've been able to counsel who's maybe been feeling that way? And or maybe there's someone from your team who's been able to counsel someone. And how has it turned out?
Can I go back to the previous question, because I would like to add a couple of things, and then I can come to this question.
Yes.
Is that all right?
Yeah, on the March for Life. Let's talk. I would love to share more about that.
Because I think
how many people came? How that worked?
So
yes.
basically in Romania, the March for Life or pro-life activities, because some localities don't have the March for Life, they go to the closest locality to them, but they organize conferences, workshops, probably charity fairs to raise funds for women in crisis pregnancies, offer flowers on Women's International Day, other pro-life activities such as these. So Marches for Life and pro-life activities in Romania this year in 2025 took place in over 2,500 localities, which is huge. And imagine that in 2011, there were like 3 cities that organized the March for Life, and that now there are over 2,500 localities where
That's
they host
huge.
either the March for Life or pro-life activities. Yeah, and it's
And
wonderful to see that
specifically
growth.
on which day?
The March for Life.
Everybody, you said there's 25 localities, 2,500,
Over,
2,500 localities that
yeah.
host some kind of activity on, is it March 25th?
No,
Or,
it's the whole month for life. In Romania, we developed this
okay,
month for life, which is the month of March. It developed from, so basically in 2011, we had only the March for Life. Then the next years, we developed the Week for Life. And then I think starting from 2016 or 2017, we developed the Month for Life. And during the whole month, the month of life, the month of March, which is the month of life, institutions, organizations, individuals organize pro-life activities, and then we announce the date of the March for Life, which is usually the last first Saturday after the Annunciation, because on Saturday it's easy for people to come, it's not that
right.
cold, and also we have this link with spiritual link with the Annunciation, which is I think is the most obvious pro-life celebration of the church, and that's why I think it's the feast of the church. That's why I think it's really important to name these things. We're not pro-life because we're religious, but I think fundamentally you can understand the pro-life cause having this religious and this Christian perspective on things. Yeah, so I think it's wonderful, this growth, this community that grew in Romania. It's something that to be very thankful for.
So I just think it's so amazing to me. With Pro-Life Goal, we talk a lot about the need for working replicatively. What I mean by that is you empower someone and you help them, and then they help someone else, right? And then they help someone else. So I am just so curious, how in the world did you guys go from 2,500 pro-life events happening during this month of March? And what was the strategy that made that happen?
I think, so obviously I wasn't there when this was happening because I'm in the pro-life movement since I think 2021, but the people before me who did an amazing work in regarding this, just contacted people. One of the institutions that helped the most was the church. The church who transmitted to each parish about the pro-life movement, about the March for Life, about pro-life activities, going and holding workshops, pro-life workshops all over the country in order to educate people on this. And just the March for Life, because the people who I work with told me this, organizing the March for Life over and over and over again made people understand the necessity to have a crisis pregnancy center, more pro-life activities. So basically it's just going and talking to people about the topic, holding activities, do the work at grassroots, over and over and over again. Try to get in the media, to talk about it, to promote it, without giving up. It's hard, sometimes you feel like there aren't results, but you have to go forward, because just by going forward, you will see results. You cannot expect results just by doing one thing. You have to do it again and again. I don't expect, so we believe that abortion should be abolished, not just legal, abolished.
Exactly.
Because if abolishing it means that women won't feel the necessity to do it, and then
Right.
people will think that it's simply unthinkable, right, to have an abortion.
It no longer becomes the only option, but becomes something that you would never even imagine doing.
Exactly. I think I think abolishing abortion probably won't happen in my lifetime, but it doesn't stop me to do every single day something pro-life, so the next generations will have that opportunity to abolish abortion. Because I think this is like a teamwork, right? Between generations,
Exactly.
between people. Like in the United States, it took 50 years to have a change in legislation because people realized what pro-life means, what the value of the human life is. And I think that's so important, not giving up, going forward.
We're all building on those who've come before us. You know, you're not the founder of Students for Life Romania, right? I've met the founder, which is so beautiful to see that. But, you know, you are picking up that baton, and I think that's a beautiful thing, especially for students and college and university, is to know if there was a club before you, pick up that baton and carry that, you know. And I did that as a student myself in college. But if there's not a club at your college, in your country, to really pick up that baton and say, okay, I'm going to be that forerunner. And that's difficult and hard, but the impact can be so strong, powerful. So tell me about that impact. Like, again, have you seen any women actually be able to shift their opinion, and any of them rescued from abortion?
So my work most of the times it's about educating young people.
Right.
I sometimes hear testimonies from them that some of them were almost aborted, or their mothers were thinking about abortions, but something changed in them before having the abortion. Someone coming and telling them, I'm going to support you, please don't abort, I'll help you grow your baby. For example, the theme of this year's March for Life, every year we have a different theme, was Every Person Matters. And what inspired this theme was a story which started 25 years ago. A woman remained pregnant, but she was 40 years old. She already had a daughter who was 20 years old. She was also pregnant, so they were both pregnant at the same time. But the mother, because she was fearful about what society will say, she was ashamed that she's pregnant at this age, she wasn't sure whether to keep or not the baby. And the sister of the baby inside the mother's womb, her oldest daughter, told her, you don't have to be ashamed. You have no reason to be ashamed. I'll help you. Please give birth to the baby. And she said, okay, if you're going to help me, I'm going to give birth. And she gave birth. And last year, this baby became, who is like a beautiful young woman called Magdalena Rusu. She is an Olympic champion.
Wow.
And in the world, she's a Romanian Olympic champion at the Olympic Games in Paris. So this wouldn't have happened if her mother hadn't chosen life. This wouldn't have happened if the daughter of this woman, who was 20 at the time, wouldn't have said, I'm going to support you. Keep the baby. So yeah, I think
Teodora, that story is so powerful. But even your story, you've been working for years now. And I know sometimes some people have, like one of our friends, has rescued a lot of babies from abortion. And I know you're knowing probably who I'm talking about here. But I think, like you, I really relate to your situation because I've been really working in the pro-life movement either professionally or as a volunteer, since, just turned 31. So it's probably been about, I think I started at 18, so 13 years now, which is so crazy, so crazy. And there have been a few, I know that I have trained people who have saved babies. I think there's maybe one that I can say. I can't even, in my mind, really think of one girl that I've really counseled and helped her to choose life for sure. And I think that's sometimes a dichotomy we have where some people are on that counseling and they're helping women to choose life day in, day out. And I know that I have educated and reached women who are now those champions for life. Or men, right, who have said, oh yeah, I've saved 100 babies from abortion. I'm like, praise God. But I think it's like a humbling place for us to still say, I know I'm a lifesaver because Christ has saved me, and that's now my mission is to go and save lives, even if I maybe don't know for sure that I've myself had those conversations that have rescued someone's life. But I think it's really important for our audience, our listeners to know, maybe they feel like they've just been doing that educational work and having those conversations, or they're doing the IT, right? Or they're doing the communications, and writing the newsletters, and they don't feel like they've been saving lives. But to know that they are a lifesaver because they're a piece in that puzzle, right? Like that mom who was encouraged by her daughter, we don't know what kind of conversation that daughter had with a friend, right? Or maybe she saw a flyer somewhere, and that gave her the courage to have that conversation with her mom, which ended up saving her sister's life, right? Who is now that Olympic champion, And so I think that's just like a really important thing for our listeners to remember too, is that their service and sacrifice for life, no matter how big or small or flashy or with women or not that it is, still matters in his life saving.
Yeah, and I would like to add, because what you said is very important. Sometimes people don't feel like they actually save babies. They don't actually feel like helping women. They do this work on education. I think, so I'll give two testimonies here. Like, they are not related to me directly. I've heard them. Let's say I'm involved indirectly in them.
Right, yeah.
By the work I'm doing, right? So one of them is one of the pregnancy centers here in Romania. It's called ROA centers. They post testimonies of women who chose life, of testimonies of women who aborted and regretted their decision. And once a woman wrote to them that I was in a difficult situation and I didn't even have to call for help. Just reading your testimonies helped me decide to keep the baby. So this is the power of testimonies. All the people who work on transcriptions, on talking to women after that, to write their stories, to promote their stories, have an impact. They just have to see it, and they will see it. I'm perfectly sure of this. And another testimony, I think especially for young people, is very important. So for the March for Life here in Romania, we usually have over 100 volunteers, 150 volunteers. It depends. And then there are people who young people who get involved in the activities during the March for Life, during the Month for Life, to help, I don't know, probably raise awareness or raise money for the March for Life. And a couple of years ago, during the pandemic, actually, the March for Life took place online. So one of the women invited to speak online was a woman who aborted her child when she was 19 years old because she was afraid. She didn't tell her parents. She didn't know what to do. And so after a couple of years, she took the decision, after she became like a mature woman, she took the decision to talk about these things, to say her testimony over and over again. And she talked to the March for Life in, I think, 2020, was it? And she said, and the live of the March for Life was followed by another woman who was in crisis pregnancy. And that woman chose life for her baby after she heard these testimonies told at the March for Life online. So I think it's very important for young people to understand that all the effort you put in the organization of the March for Life contributes to that life that has been saved. It doesn't matter. It's not important how big or small you were there, and we do not know the result if you weren't there. So you have to understand that each person matters, and you matter, and your contribution matters, because if you weren't there, we wouldn't know the result. Because you were there, and because you were there as well, the result was life. And I think this is, once we realize this, our motivation grows and our conviction grows, and I think it's very important to see results, and we see them, and yeah, it's wonderful.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Teodora, for sharing your story. I feel like I could ask you so many more questions for hours, but I really appreciate you coming on Lifesavers, and thank you. Thank you for being a lifesaver in Romania. Thank you for organizing the March for Life, and through that, saving lives, translating those testimonies, and really being that light for our world and that example, right, to other young people around the world that, hey, you can show up. If you just show up, you can save lives, you can make a difference. Even if you don't always know that you're saving lives, you are. So thank you again, Teodora. Have a blessed rest of your day, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much, Bethany, for having me.